My name's Corran. I'm a third year film and creative writing student, and mainly I direct films, but I try and get involved in as many interesting side projects as well as I can. But my main thing I want to do is directing.
So how did you end up in the film course in LICA?
Well, I have always kind of been involved in filmmaking YouTube videos with my friends. When I was very young, I used to do like animation with Lego and that kind of thing. And I started to watch films quite seriously in terms of like, I basically got insecure about not knowing what was a good or bad film and started watching loads of films to try and work out my own critical opinion. And then I have never stopped since, really. That was when I was about 15. And for a while it was like a hobby, and I thought I would be an architect and then watch films on the side. But then at a certain point realised that I hated maths a lot and loved film a lot and would regret not doing film at uni.
What type of movies are you interested in?
Making or watching?
Both.
Some of my favourite filmmakers at the moment are David Lynch, Maya Deren. I always go back to people like Kubrick and Scorsese, obviously. There's lots of like range in those filmmakers and lots of different styles, but they all are great at what they do. And I tend to bounce around a lot with the films I make. And in my first film at uni that I made is kind of like a psychological thriller. Then The Table, which is the one most like me, is just like a surrealist mix of stop motion and live action. Then I made a experimental documentary. Now I'm in the process of making a not experimental documentary about DJs in Lancaster, and also a character drama. So there's lots of different styles, and I love exploring all the different avenues I can go down. But the most compelling thing in film is when it's the filmmakers actually trying something original, and you can really feel their voice coming through, and you see something you haven't seen.
Would you like to talk about some of your recent projects a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. Well, The Table, which is here on the screen, is inspired by two of the filmmakers I said there, David Lynch and Maya Deren, and also a Czech filmmaker called Jan Svankmajer, who does a mix of stop motion and live action. And I watched one of his films called The Flat, and I really was compelled by it. It's one of the best short films I've ever seen, and wanted to try and work in stop motion in some way. And reading about how David Lynch made a Razorhead and how every part of the set he made with he was given like a space to work in by his university for like years, and he just built every part of the set by himself. I wanted to try and do something where I built part of the film. So in The Table, the actual prop table, which is a character in the film, was built for the film by me and some of the technical crew, so that it could cater to what I needed in the film, where the table comes alive, moves, gets taller and shorter, spins around. And it's a surrealist piece about, it's exploring kind of subject-object interactions, how this object gets personified when the person interacts with it, and then the table interacts back. Maya Deren in her writing talks about maximizing film form to make something that you couldn't make in any other medium. And I think animation is one of the, it's like a core example of that. You can't create the things you can create with animation in any other medium, and that's what she's all about. For her, there's no artistic value of film unless we explore what it can do that music can't do on its own, that writing can't do on its own, and that photography can't do on its own. So the movement of camera, the ability to move inanimate objects, to slow down time, to speed up time, to zoom in on small details, that kind of thing are things she wanted to explore in her films, which are in like the 40s. She's doing this, and she's in her films. There's stuff in it that she manages to do that, yeah, you'd expect it to be more recent. Jan Svankmajer talks a lot about his whole thing with animation is he just has a love for objects, old objects, and for him taking an object and knowing that it's had a past and seen lots of things that humans can't see because they don't live as long as these objects, gives them a value, and that's why when he animates them they have such like character. He works a lot with like old stuff you'd find in an antique shop or something like that.
What about directing is so infatuating to you?
I'm a bit of a, well, I think I'm good at coming up with ideas, and then once I come up with an idea, I know how hard it is to communicate an idea to someone as I have it in my brain. However well I could do it, it will always be lost a bit in the airwaves between us. And however good the person I'm talking to is, they're not me, and they won't see what I see. So when I have an idea, I want to have control on it as much as I can and be able to realize that. And I love working with people to create something. There's like a communal sense to directing that's really valuable to me, and spending time with artistic people who have their own visions that can then build off of my idea. And I just get a massive buzz when I have the final edit of a film. There's no real like explanation to it. I just like, when you get that final film, it's just like the most satisfying thing when you have that final product after months. It's worth all the many struggles that come with it.